today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
Enhance can be purchased at Citygate Bar, the CDC opposite the market, Dexter's Car Wash on Chaussee Road, Plants Place on the Dennery Highway, Arlette Supermarket in Soufriere, the Release Stress Bar on the Labrie Highway, and Cool Joint Bar in Victoria, Choiseul.
You can get your Enhance at Prio's Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Gurzile Bus Stop. Prio's Bar and Grill in Corinth, Gurzile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Good night. St. Lucia, class, can I help you followers? It's been a very eventful week, and it's actually our first night, the substitute teacher rather, and Charmaine, my co-host. Together it's been our first night without the teacher in house, and we intend to not disappoint, not dissatisfied. This week has been a very much eventful week in that we had a second sitting of Parliament with a number of bills tabled. Also, this week we saw a number of, for one, we noticed a number of, how should I put it, former candidates or former parliamentarians making themselves present or actually adding their voice, not being seen, how should I say it, not seeming invalid as the electorate declared them. So, people, let us take a look at what transpired in the House during the course of Tuesday. And I was taken aback, actually, when I heard the lone opposition member in the House making the plea, asking the Prime Minister to be considerate and consider the opposition parliamentarians too. It is sad, and I was taken aback because this was coming from an individual who sat in a government who acknowledged with a policy of neglecting the constituencies who did not sign up or who did not endorse their candidate. Or was it that Bradley misunderstood when my Prime Minister said a government for all? He was in fact referring, or the definition for that is a government for all St. Lucians, not a government for all Labour Party supporters, affiliates, and well-wishers. A government for all St. Lucians. And so therefore, Bradley Felix, Mr. Bradley Felix, there was really no need for you to make that additional plea to the Prime Minister to consider you. You will be considered. This is a government for all St. Lucians, not some. And also too, Sarah Flood came out of hiding. I guess she's the first member of the former government who've mustered the strength to show their face and say something. And she spoke to something in the effect that the regulations or the protocol, given the way it is structured, was infringing on her right to exercise her religion. But Ms. Flood, where were you? At least you have notice. Where were you? Or weren't you part of a government which shut down the place, you know what I'm telling you, for more than a month? For more than a month, churches included, without notice? And so therefore, your attempt to use the religious community to stir up animosity and resentment of the protocol is unbecoming and shameful. It is distasteful. Charmaine, you know, we had 4 weeks almost, I think thereabout, of lockdown under the former government, churches included, and not one member, not one minister, not one had a problem with it. But then this government, in keeping with the advice of the very same team from which they got their advice, and I hope that is short-lived, I'm telling you, issued an adjustment to the protocol, not far-fetched, and Ms. Flood had a problem with it. Or was it really, Ms. Flood, a problem you had, or I am asking you, were you attempting a flit at politicking in attempting to get religious persons, Catholics, to express resentment at the government's intended policy, or articulated policy rather? You did. And there was also, I was also very much disappointed. When Bradley said that it is the second sitting, and Alan Chastain's absence is nothing short of contempt for the people who elected him, for the process, for our democracy, and for our parliament. Because it is, Parliament must be called, the first sitting of Parliament must be called within a specific time.
Yes.
And that if you truly, really, a former Prime Minister at that, with people first, you would have placed whatever plans you have out of that framework.
Yes.
And it is 30 days.
Yes.
So for Alan Chastain to not be here on the opening of Parliament is a demonstration of contempt for the process and for the people. And when Bradley defined the functions of the House today, not today, Tuesday, as ceremonial, that was embarrassing. Bradley, what is ceremonial about a session of the House where bills are tabled, bills are presented, what amendments are made? What is ceremonial about that? And this guy's continued attempt at subterfuge should invoke nothing but resentment.
Yes.
What do you think?
I tend to agree with everything that you've just said. Looking back at the period of the lockdown, a lot of people were just getting used to the idea of the pandemic. A lot of people were still in fear, and there was still a lot of hindrance to the actual following of the protocols, because people looked at it as a cut-off period from employment, the way assistance was distributed. There were so many factors socially that contributed to the behavior patterns of people. However, we have come past that, but during that period there was a lot of hurt and anguish, because I witnessed myself a period that is in tune with what you were saying with our former rep for Castries Central, now using politicking to come and talk about religion and the curfew on a Sunday. I witnessed families having to deal with funerals where only 10 or 15 people were allowed in the church. And because of the gravity of how people grieve differently, there were people who were in shambles just because they could not be inside that hall. And it was because of the procedures, the adherence of the procedures, the presence of the actual wardens and things of that nature, which was a lot tougher on us. And now that we have a Prime Minister who understands the nature of the people, the reluctance of some people for certain reasons because of lack of knowledge of research and so on, who have not taken the vaccine, and a lot of other factors with the business community, has decided to take the curfew in stages. And Sunday seemed to be one of the days where people, no matter what you do, it's a recreational day. After a long week of work, some people just would behave in a sense that, hey, I just have to hang out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, the week, you have a 5-day work week, 6 days in some cases, and Sunday is a day when persons get together. Definitely there is a larger percentage of congregation and people getting together on a Sunday. So one would expect, because the objective is to keep people apart, to manage this thing, to get whosoever may be infected and not showing traces, to get the disease to show to get the virus, rather, the disease, that's what it is, to show out itself, to come out from hiding. And you need at least 14 days lockdown for that.
Yes.
Because in essence, what you have is, you have persons interacting upon not showing signs and thereby passing it. And then if I were to be, say, like 7 days during the incubation period, and I were to pass it on to you on my 7th day, you now have to carry on a 14-day cycle. And so therefore, the best solution for that, seemingly almost the only solution, is a 14-day lockdown. And then I would think that the government is mindful as to what it is and how society get along, and what a 14-day lockdown, the implications it would have. You have single families, you have persons who work hand to mouth, you have persons who prepare for tomorrow today. And so therefore it would be, that is a challenge, that is something I would not want to have the responsibility of making the decision on.
I quite agree. It is indeed a very difficult time. However, I have no fear that with the involvement of everyone playing the role that they're supposed to play, each man is responsible for himself. Each of us have family members, we have kids, we have elderly in our family, and so on. And the onus is on us. Government cannot do everything for us. And it is time that we desist from blaming government for things that we have sole control over. And I think the rise in the numbers in the COVID is because of our inadherence as a people, our family sort of attitude, and on top of that, with the advent of a newly elected government, some people who are supposed to know better just continue to insist on trying to divide and to sway the populace in sort of like a smear campaign. Elections is over. The government has demonstrated in every single way that they are trying to work with the people. It is actually a government of the people, for the people. The people that are willing to participate, whether it's voluntarily or in almost any way that you can think of, are people who have always been advocates for change, who have been volunteers within the community. You see the Prime Minister using such wisdom in allowing the skills of certain people who have the ability to serve and the willingness to serve to be appointed to certain boards, the design of the cabinet of ministers, including everybody in the task, is admirable.
But notwithstanding, the composure and the structure is well put together. But St. Lucia, it's going to be a hard, or rather it's going to be a slow walk uphill. In truth and in fact, I mean, this government will never commit itself to nothing that undervalue and undermine the average St. Lucian. But the average St. Lucian must understand that this government, given the squandermania and the corruption of the previous administration, finds itself in a position where it's not saying that it's not going to happen. We're simply saying, be patient, it takes time, allow the government to put things in place to facilitate your upward mobility. And all this government is asking is patience.
Patience, yeah.
And in the case of COVID, this government is asking your adherence.
Yes.
Please.
Just adhere to the
For the younger persons who figure that they are resilient and the body will deal with it, think of the elder folk within your house, within your
household, family. The people you interact with, because we are now seeing a trend in younger people dying, and so that has to change the whole outlook of how we view this pandemic.
One would think that it was always seen as an elder person, a vulnerable person,
Exactly.
person with already pre-existing
conditions.
thing. But now that it actually mashing down healthy persons,
exactly.
one would think that the approach would change.
Because now it's a different variant, and if it keeps mutating, who's to say how deadly the possible next variant could be, if there is one? And there are just so many issues. At the end of the day, it is just our mindset.
But you say many issues, and one thing come to mind. You know, this government have a multiplicity of priorities. I don't know how I don't know how this could be possible, because there is no issue that the government could pay attention to whilst neglecting the other.
Yeah,
we have to, you must deal, and I say we because I embrace the government.
Yes.
I'm telling you, I am not a member of the Labour Party. I embrace the government. So I say we, and I will do everything possible, everything I can, to ensure that the vision of this government manifests, because I bought into it and I have confidence in it.
Yes. Well said, my brother.
Now, without cutting you short, Charmaine, I was speaking in terms of the multiplicity of priorities. You cannot address healthcare at the expense of education. You cannot address tourism at the expense of agriculture. You know what I'm telling you? You cannot, everything, and it is because the former government dealt such a nasty blow to what constitutes governance. You know what I'm saying? And so therefore, every sector was affected. Don't for one second think that the revelations the Honorable Minister for Housing, Richard Frederick, made with regards to the dirt and the filth within housing, CCC
and
I am of the view that every ministry have such a story to tell.
Yes, I
every
think so
ministry
too.
have such a story so to tell. For instance, OKEU. OKEU is a consultant's heaven. OKEU is a consultant's heaven, and Minister Moza, you need to come down, and it will seem as victimization, but like I said, cleaning up will always leave casualties behind. And we do not forget, we must stand with this government. We must strengthen the government resolve, and I will not get tired, and I cannot overemphasize that. We must strengthen the government resolve to deal with corruption and deal with it meaningfully. You see, a number of us, I myself included, I did not just vote for a change of government. Corruption was at the forefront, and I wanted it dealt with. You know, the average person in the street is of the view that politicians is, you do your stuff, I won't come after you, as long as you don't come after me when I do mine. That is what I meant when I say it cannot be business as usual. That mindset must be done away with, Charmaine.
And I was more than, you know, when you get to this point of satisfaction when the Honorable Richard Frederick delivered his speech at the
House?
At the House, and today at the swearing in of the council. The way things are done, it cannot be business as usual. And as people who are considered to be grassroots people, because people class you in the way they want, but it doesn't destroy your vision, it doesn't destroy your ambition to want to serve and to want to be a part of, you know, things getting done the way they're supposed to be. And to hear a minister stand firmly behind situations of that nature and is sending a clear message to not just the Castries City Council, I would say by extension. I think it's a strong message in that the government of the day, throughout the eyes of governance, that we must adhere to work within the legal framework of whatever statutes that govern the bodies of those organizations. And like you rightly said last week, civil servants, when we are in office, we ought to question when authority or what is seemed to be elective authority or whoever allows or asks us to do things that we know are contrary to what, because if people are not held accountable, then we continuously have this pattern, and eventually it's going to hurt our country dearly You know, we talk about the generation of our kids having to pay debt, but what about their kids? You know, do we want to end up like Haiti and those countries? We don't want that. And as young people, we can't continue to sit on the wayside and not try to, you know, stop these blatant, what you call white collar crime. Because if we practice that in our day-to-day life, we get the full brunt of it. Sometimes we can't live a normal life because of one mistake.
Charmaine, you see, and for that, what I think must be assessed is the cost of corruption on development, the cost of corruption on education. You know what I'm saying? As it is, our school system, our education, our schools is almost reduced to a 8-hour detention center for children. What is the impact of corruption on that situation? You know, the people see, and the average person is like, boy, that is my money, I have nothing to do with that, boy, anybody would have done the same thing. But the reality is, because of that corruption, what is the impact of that corruption on your quality of life, on your quality of living? Yes. Does it affect the availability of amenities? Does it affect the availability of facilities? You know what I'm telling you? And that is where corruption becomes everybody's business.
Critical, because those at the lower end of the ladder, what is supposed to reach them,
it never
reaches them. And so that is where, like I was saying, it felt satisfying to hear that coming from the people who represent us. We almost just delve into everything tonight, but a few of our viewers are asking for our honorable teacher. Like Timothy said, we are now appointed as...
Well, Charmaine, if it is a few of our viewers, the viewers must take note and listen to teacher, because he stated categorically that we would be the ones co-hosting, given his responsibility and assumption to the role of minister, and that he would be in periodically.
Yes. So I would like to say good night. Can I help you, class? Honorable Richard Frederick, I know he is looking, or he is tuned in, ensuring that we are representing in the way which he would expect us to. Of course, it is our first night, and as we grow into the show and we grow into our viewers and the issues that, the new issues, developments in the government and so on, we hope you to be an audience that will be well pleased. So as we continue into our discussion, I would like to congratulate my brother here, Timothy.
Oh, thank you,
on what was indeed an auspicious occasion this morning. As a female, I feel flattered because undoubtedly you sometimes just have a few heads of, or just a handful of women in the body of governance. And this time around, there's so much involvement of women, because behind a man, there's always this strong woman.
Like they say, gender balance.
Gender balance. and
the affairs of state is being handled.
It has been handled in a way that I think is admirable, and it is auspicious in a sense that it is fresh, it is new, the approach, and I can see us going places. Within the period of the maiden speech of the new mayor, she alluded to the fact that it doesn't matter where you come from as long as you have that vision and that dream and that drive and that passion that came from her speech. And just from so many little things that have happened. Like you said, it's been a week of a lot of stuff. Eventful week, thank you. And during the second sitting of Parliament, when the Prime Minister did his open remarks and was alluding to the amendment of the Act and his passion in trying to make people understand that this is a pandemic and people should not be it should not be a criminal offense where you have to put up that resistance. It's supposed to be something that together we can do it. And this just warms my...
Shams, hold on. I think we're having a call from a teacher. So...
From who? From who, Tim?
From teacher.
Good night.
Let me just compliment you guys. You guys are doing a wonderful job. Tim, you are doing very, very well. Charmaine, you are doing well as well.
Thank you.
You know, it's really nice and refreshing to know that all is not lost through my absence. You know, you guys have been around. You guys have basically been following me ever since I went up for the by-elections, and that something good from me, if you want to call it good, rubbed onto your shoulders. So I feel quite happy, elated that you all can be there talking to the people, let them know, and do so with such self-confidence as though you guys have been on TV for the last 20 years like myself. So I want you all to keep up the good work and do what is necessary to ensure that we keep our people informed. I was a bit on the downside today. I was a little upset because I don't know if you all heard, Timothy Mangal challenged me to see what you heard about that?
Yes, sir. I actually saw your response to...
Yes.
Yeah.
Timothy Mangal is challenging me, Richard Frederick, to see what I said in the house, outside the house.
But Richard, you see, what happened to that is so often, or throughout this guy's tenure, they kept on telling lies and subterfuge and false truths and untruths within the house, knowing that they are protected. Perhaps he thought that it was his guys in there and is untruth.
I like that one. and he thought it was his guys in there perpetuating an untruth.
Yes.
And would be fearful about its repetition outside. You know, I told Timothy Mangal that I understood he'll be on HTS tomorrow. I called certain people at HTS. And once I get the clearance, I'll come to see Timothy Mangal in his comfort zone. Because I will not go into the house and attempt to mislead the people of this country in any way whatsoever. It is a fact that Timothy Mangal nowhere NET has its land. It is a fact that NET owned the land whilst he was chairman. It is a fact he knows of the land. It is a fact that he entered into an agreement to take 16 lots from NET, give them not one penny, but one those lots registered in Marigold Depot Limited, a company owned by himself and his wife. And the agreement is they will build houses, and when they sell, they will pay us the land at $15 a square foot and $4 per square foot on house prints, meaning if a house is 1,200 square feet, he will pay us an extra $4,800. I mean, if Timothy Mangal says that we are broke and we have no money, why don't you leave the land in our name and go and develop it, and when we sell, we pay you the value of the house? Why don't we do that? No, you want it in your name and in a company's name in which you and your wife are directors. And I'm sure by now everybody knows of the arrangements with Fresh Start. What do you think about that, this 80-20 business?
Richard, this is madness. I don't think the average person really understand what is it that is, you know. That is me, somebody giving you my stuff and asking you to sell it and give me back 20 cents on every dollar. Meaning, whosoever it is holds back 80 cents on every dollar from my stuff. I don't think the average St. Lucian actually processed that to realize what it is. It's a wholesale giveaway of the country. You know what I'm telling you? And of our natural resource, a wholesale giveaway of crown lands.
You know, and when you say that persons, I mean, I do understand, yes, we all have a constitutional right to support a party of our choice. But how can you tell me that under the guise of patriotism, you being a patriotic St. Lucian can ever support that kind of arrangement which has every semblance of the corrupt activities.
Activities, yes.
You know, why? Why do people support that? And those are the things I don't understand. And Tim, I now understand why every effort was being made to ensure that Richard Frederick remained outside the realms of the cabinet of this country.
Yeah, because
but God knew exactly what he was doing.
Yes.
And I believe that the victory, I've said so time and time again, I've said so in cabinet, I've said so in parliament, I've said so everywhere, that the victory by the St. Lucia Labour Party and the replacement of Alan Chastanet as Prime Minister and the installation of Philip J. Pierre did not happen just so. I believe there was divine intervention that caused St. Lucians to vote the St. Lucia Labour Party to ensure we stop this largesse and we stop the unjust enrichment of the few St. Lucians using state assets.
And commit to an effort to retrieve.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. Indeed, we are going after all we know was gained unjustly,
yes.
And we are hoping that the Attorney General will advise the government in how to move forward on these pressing issues to ensure that our lands return to us. The sad thing is, Tim and Shami, as a new government, we cannot discover everything. It will be virtually impossible. We now understand why the guys never wanted any opposition member to visit St. Jude.
Yes.
This one is heartbreaking, it's heart-wrenching. It defies reality and belief. Yes. We now understand why the guys never wanted any one of us to go to St. Jude. St. Jude, as I've said, is a glorified kappa.
That's exactly
what it is. It is a slabs upon columns, 4 slabs upon columns, one under the other, and cladding around it. Not even on block work outside on the surroundings.
No electrical conduits,
just
nothing.
to appeal to the eyes for aesthetics. And you have them posting that in caps and in United Park as a state-of-the-art hospital with not even one wire, one trunking for electricity, no water, no air conditioning, nothing that would even give the semblance of a residential structure, far less a
left alone a hospital. Left alone a hospital.
And
you know, it's just heartbreaking. And then we are told by the engineer on site that to finish, just to complete one floor, the ground floor, would take $38 million. You know, when Renault went to Dominica and built a whole hospital, as they say there colloquially now, a 60-bed hospital for $32 million. I don't know what is happening, but I do believe that somebody must pay.
Must pay. I think the desire to hold these guys to account is not an administrative issue. It is actually a national issue.
It's a national issue, and it's a legitimate expectation by the people of this country who actually knew what was going on.
Yes. To add to that, teacher, when I walk the streets, a lot of the time people say, now that the government is there, I hope that they investigate. And I would say to them, can't you see the commitment that they have? There's so much corruption that has happened in almost every department of government, like Tim was saying, every single one. And so it would be impossible. But I assure them that with their conviction and their support to the government will ensure that this is possibly going to be the first time, but there needs to be some time, because like you said, it cannot be business as usual. And so we will not.
People have to pay for that. People have to account for that. We cannot spend $138 million on this, and we have absolutely nothing to show. I'm sure some of you all will remember that when Guy Joseph came in, he took police officers and went to various places where
the materials were stored.
For the hospitals were stored. Where are they? All of those questions will be answered in due time, and I can assure St. Lucians that this government, of which I am a part of, will not permit this kind of thing to happen without addressing it in a very serious way.
And
Okay.
yes, guaranteed.
So you guys
We look for.
just keep on the good work, and feel free to contact me if you need clarification on any issue, knowledge of which I am seized.
Thank you for the opportunity, and we.
Yes, right after this, people, we'll be taking a break now after
Okay,
the
Tim,
teacher.
let me just say hello to Lucy, Don McDonald, in the U.S. She listens and follows me religiously. So let me say hello to her. Aval, good day to you. Albert Fridges, Pinky Didi, and all the rest in England, No Sleep Crew and all the others. They're special hello to them. I'm in the confines of my bed now, but listening to you all attentively. Cheers, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Bless
Thank
my
you.
brother.
Bye-bye.
My name is Martina. I would like to say thank you to the guys from Paddy Access, especially Jermaine, for a job well done. I called him 2 days before my brother's funeral to do a live video, and I was not disappointed. He was professional and kept in touch with me throughout the live, just making sure I was satisfied with everything. I would definitely use Paddy Access again, and I highly recommend that anyone looking to do a live video to hire them. Everyone who watched my brother's funeral had good things to say about how much of a good job the videographer did. If you want satisfaction for your money, Paddy Access is the way to go.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
Nestled in the quiet northern neighborhood of Larry Twet is a housing development designed specifically for homeowners looking for that ideal location, the epitome of serenity, a retreat from the hustle and bustle of everyday living. Our homes cater to the specific needs of you, the modern homeowner: style, comfort, space, and above all, privacy. Want to experience scenic, breathtaking mountain views, postcard garden sunsets, balconies overlooking well-manicured gardens, and large yard and parking space? Visit us today.
Aging gracefully is the hope for everyone. But when you age prematurely, most people think that something is wrong with you. The natural enzymes and building blocks in your skin start to deplete, so fine or deep lines and wrinkles appear, making you look much older than you really are. At Derma Clinic, we can help repair your skin and change the way you look in minutes. These treatments will make you look younger. At Derma Clinic, we treat all kinds of skin problems, such as facial lines, dark circles around the eyes, crow's feet, and frown lines, using all-natural hyaluronic acid filler. So maintain and improve your facial appearance. For more information, call 453-6417 or 485-9818.
St. Lucia, be a living and breathing example of the benefits of getting the COVID-19 shot. Focus on the big picture positives. Widespread vaccination is a critical tool to help stop the pandemic. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective, and free, so we recommend you get the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as possible. The chances of being hospitalized or dying with COVID-19 is reduced greatly with the vaccine. By doing so, you are protecting yourself and the people around you. As more people become vaccinated, schools, businesses, and our social lives can continue freely. Let us all play our part in getting back to normal. Vaccine hesitancy can cost us dearly. Do the right thing. Take the vaccine.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
Enhance can be purchased at Citygate Bar, the CDC opposite the market, Dexter's Car Wash on Chaussee Road, Plants Place on the Dennery Highway, Arlette Supermarket in Soufriere, the Release Stress Bar on the Labrie Highway, and Cool Joint Bar in Victoria, Choiseul.
You can get your Enhance at Prio's Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Gurzile Bus Stop. Prio's Bar and Grill in Corinth, Gurzile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Yes, class. Just to inform you, we will be taking calls in perhaps the next 5 minutes thereabout. Charmaine, I think that, I don't know, but moving forward, in terms of accessibility of our parliamentarians and our reps, I think that every representative, every parliamentarian should have a presence on social media.
Yes. I think that is indeed a very valid point, especially with the advent of the way social media appeals to certain people. It's like a platform to reach, and so I do think that that is indeed a fantastic idea.
Yes, so then more people will be able to reach out to you. You would have a clearer understanding of what it is on the ground in terms of people's thought pattern. You know what I'm telling you? And it puts you in a position to better manage your constituency, knowing what it is they look forward to, what are the shortcomings.
Yes.
You see, and also to social media is being used, what was the United Workers' Party have committed themselves to using social media to undermine, or to attempt rather, to undermine the government and its achievements.
Yes.
So much so that in the week, was it? Sometime, I think it was the 28th or the 29th, there was a post of garbage somewhere within either the market area or so, and from Paul Ward, the infamous Paul Ward. And it was like, that's what you all voted for, actually chastising the mayor who took up appointment today.
Yes.
You see, and when you know, you may trivialize these things, but certain persons don't know and they buy into it. That helps shape their perception.
It is amazing how being out there and being able to connect with those people, it is amazing of how their thought pattern, and it is, I think that is what they play on. You have this fraction of the population that is easily swayed, again because of despondency. It's not that they too don't have a vision and a dream, but they have succumbed to the realities, the harsh realities of the social impediments that really do exist.
Yeah,
and so you find that they just laid back. So they tell you, me, I don't care, that one doing it, this one doing it. And you're right, you know, in all of that, I think it's a step forward where, and as my job as the secretary within the constituency office, it is not the first time that I have served at that capacity. However, there was sort of a different approach this period where I had a formal interaction with the Office of Parliament, who is really the body that looks manages. And then it just shows you the difference in the form of governance and how governance, people in authority sometimes bypass certain things and do things their own way, because in another period I did not know of that, I was not introduced to that. But I read the booklet thoroughly because it is a guideline to what is expected of me as a servant of the people. And a part of those guidelines indicated that each constituency, besides having the parliamentary office where there's which is an outreach to the constituents, there should be little representatives within pockets of that community. And I thought, fantastic, because you as one person cannot know everything. But if you have somebody in Boapatat and you have somebody in Lakudu and you have somebody there, what you have is a chain. And so people are able to address certain problems. And I enjoy what I do mainly because I can relate to a lot of those things that, you know, happen day to day. And like you rightly said, that is one of the easiest ways and one of the fastest ways.
But when you speak of having somebody in the constituency or within the community, would the preferred approach be the community presents somebody, or the minister, the rep, identify somebody within? What would be your preferred approach?
I can safely say that you have a lot of voluntary people. Some people are shy of public interaction and certain things. But however, being on the ground, I could beg to say that you will find at least one person who is eager to, you know, represent.
So then what in essence what we could do there now is throw it out to communities to get them self-organized in a manner, because I mean 300-400 residents from a community cannot make a case, or they can make a case, but it is more tedious. So then we're throwing it out to communities to identify persons, responsible persons within the community, to at least bring forward the community's concerns to the relevant authorities, in this case being the representative.
Yes, that you're quite correct. You're quite correct, because again, going back to today's occasion where you serve as a councillor, there was the emphasis on team effort and a drastic change in the approach to delivering excellence. And at the end of the day, in the minister's speech, Honorable Richard Frederick, and also in Madam Mayor, Miss Geraldine Lendo Gabriel, they both extended a hand to reach out to you all, and for you, by extension, to work with the business sector, the taxpayers of Castries Central, and so on. And so you understand the nature of what you're present for. You know, we know each other, we grew up together, we've gone through certain circumstances because of our environment at the time, or the inability of our families to hold certain positions to provide for us, and so we can relate. So having seen the commitment placed on team effort, the incorporation of certain people and certain things, I have no fear that as long as the good Lord gives us the ability the wisdom to serve without, with impartiality, equality, fairness, open-mindedness. Another thing that was brought up today was the fact that we need to understand that you cannot always be right. Okay, you might have an idea, but your brother or your sister can expound or tell you of a different method. And that is another factor that contributes to the level of what we consider to be ignorance in St. Lucia, is because instead of us building a brother or a sister, we tend to always want to destroy. We look for the slightest thing about them or whatever to characterize them and inhibit their sometimes useful contribution. And so in the approach of this government, in the approach of the new Castries Constituencies Council, everything just brings this sort of semblance and unison that together as a people, I think we can move mountains.
It's basically, I'm working with you, you're not working for me. I'm talking with you, I'm not talking to you.
And I think as long as the people are involved, for example, the sort of excitement in the chair lady when she acclaimed to having worked with the Honorable before within the same ministry, and so she knows that he as a person, even when we were around in 2006, he always indicated that he wanted elective politics for local government was something that he always spoke about. It was done differently, but he always was open to that.
Oh, you should have seen the light on my face when that was said.
I saw you clapping.
People, we're opening up the lines,
yeah, and that shows people that, hey, I too, you know, have a voice, because then you have a choice to elect. And like Mayor said, there was a selection this time. However, when it manifests, if we were good, you reselect. You know, that's how it's supposed to be.
Sham, you have a call? Let's take this call. Yeah, good evening, caller.
Yeah, good evening, and I just want to say welcome to the show. I just want to wish you all the best. It's a good show, and I like how you all started, very professional. I want to talk about the issue with Timothy Mangal. Let us forget the corruption. I mean, somebody who is the chairman of a housing corporation, to me it is very unethical for you then to be doing business with that organization, to get involved in buying lands and investing on your own company, doing these kind of things. To me that is very unethical. There's a serious conflict of interest. Where you are using insider trading, you know, you have information about the corporation where it has land, and you're doing business for your own self. And as the chairman of the housing corporation, for me, you are in charge of setting terms and agreements for these kind of things, and you are doing that for your own self now, because you are the chairman and you are doing business with your own self, so you will definitely give yourself the best terms and agreements that is possible. The other thing is, the other board members who sit on the board with you to take decisions, they definitely will be intimidated, because you are the ones doing the business, and they definitely will be afraid to go against anything that conditions that you want to set. So right away, it is intimidation on the other board members. The other issue too is the workers who have then to supervise those projects. How could they say anything when you are the boss? You are the chairman of the board. So as workers, they are intimidated. They cannot talk even if they see something that is unethical and wrong. They cannot say anything, because you could fire them, you could influence their positions. You could do, because you are their superior. And so to me, only in St. Lucia these things can happen. In the real world, like somebody always says, these things cannot happen. You know, and people talk only of corruption, but that, to me, the whole thing is already corruption without corruption.
But Kola, this is why today I told my rep that that they would think they have as much work to do legislatively as they have insofar as structures and projects. Because, I mean, conflict, if a court, the family of a court's employee cannot take part in a court's promotion. The family of employees at Heineken, Wynwood and Leeward Brewery cannot take part in a Heineken and Leeward Brewery promotion. And so therefore, it should be clear, and government, this government in this cycle must look at legislation with regards to dealing with conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Because the ability of these guys to just brush this thing off, I'm telling you, as an anomaly, you know what, as malfeasance, and not have criminal liability to it in some cases, catapults it.
Yes, definitely it does.
Yeah, man, and I agree with that. I think we need to look into it and see to it that these things cannot happen once you are involved or you are the chairman or president of.
Yeah, I mean, you take for instance, Gail, your brother, your uncle, your auntie. I mean, come on, man.
You know, I mean, these things will happen in big countries. You
nowhere else.
Cannot happen anywhere else.
We allow this to happen and these things to happen, and people take that for granted as if that's nothing. And that is the modus operandi of these guys and the guy Josephs and other. I don't know if it's because of the level of the education. That is their modus operandi, and that we should stop these things and outlaw these things.
This is why legislation is needed against it, so then you know from the offset that you wouldn't be able to send work to your brother, to your cousin, to your uncle. So if your intention is to unlawfully enrich yourself, then we're saying to you that the parliament is not the place for that. And this could only happen with stringent legislation preventing parliamentarians, politicians from attaining in such circumstances. Family interest, business interest, and otherwise.
And otherwise, I quite agree.
Okay, good night.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks much. Charmaine, you know, and it is so, sometimes you ask yourself, but how could Heineken, Wynwood and Leeward Brewery have more oversight than the government?
Exactly, because they make it, it remains something that is not a priority because of the implications of it. And like you rightly said, I've had conversation with a few people who are much more knowledgeable about certain areas of legislation and would say to me, yes, Charmaine, it's okay to say X, Y, and Z, but are there laws in place? You can compare certain things that have happened.
Hold on your phone, Charmaine, we have a call. Good evening, caller.
Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Nice and congratulations.
Thank you much,
talk show.
Thank you.
Yes, and all what you all are touching on is very good and important topic. And you all have the same mindset as me. Because those are the things I always talk about, and I always, say that it needs to have a fast change when it comes to, governance and laws of this country. Because you will always find some politician that will come, and they'll not come in the faith of helping the people, but they'll come in their faith of getting rich.
It's about enrichment.
Self-aggrandizement.
And getting rich fast too.
Yes.
But politicians should know that they're not coming into politics or coming to be elected by the people for them to enrich themselves, but they should be coming to enrich the people, to uplift the people, start from the root to and lift up the people, let the people grow. Yes. But if when politicians come and they're only looking for themselves and letting themselves grow, where will the people be?
Because
at the same time, another 5 years, then you come in as though you are master, you demanding the people vote. As though they have to vote for you no matter what you do. And those things have to stop. And another thing I want to point out, when politicians come and they elected politicians to different constituencies, to me, they should have those people to think their assets, whatever they have,
declare their assets,
so that but people will know that is that you come in with. If you win the election, is that you have. And afterwards, then they'll assess if what you have after that is what your salaries can give. But if it's beyond your salary, you have to give an account where you get it from and how did you accumulate it. Those are the things I want to see in my country.
I think there is a body, there is a body or a provision for politicians to declare their assets, you know.
Yeah, but I don't want to hear there is a body.
Yes, I think it is the Integrity Commission.
Firm laws.
Well,
firm laws.
Like you rightly...
Not body that cannot do nothing, body can shift. No. Not a paralyzed body we want. We want a body that is...
I agree with you, caller. I agree with you.
Yes, caller, this is why this government, like I say, legislatively have as much work to do insofar as cleaning up the... Legislatively, they have as much work to do as they have to do insofar as cleaning up the country.
Because it's not easy, to see that you as a poor person or whatever, you in that constituency, and you give somebody a vote, thinking, in your mind that, that person will help the community and help, the community and your children to grow and you to think. And when you hear that, you see those people before 5 years, those people are millionaires, and those people have this and they have that under all kind of names. By the way, I want to ask a question. Where is the ex and his colleague?
The ex? Oh, you mean the ex-prime minister and his colleagues?
Yes.
I think they're having a bit, they're unable to deal with...
Oh, maybe they are changing switch banks.
Yeah, most likely.
Maybe they are changing switch bank and they are going or the CIP money. Maybe they're changing it from one switch bank to the other. So they're roaming around the world. Maybe they're in Dubai already, putting that in another switch bank somewhere.
I hope they use a U.S. bank because that would guarantee.
All those things. That's why we need laws. We need laws. We need firm and strong laws. Not like a petty mash law that every government that can change it. You see, what's the United States and other countries? They have certain laws that no government or no government that come in cannot change those laws.
Cannot change those
even
laws,
though they make other laws and change it. But those laws are staple and stable laws that no one cannot refute or change. And
the good
we are asking for that. And I think there should have a government or I know Mr. Pierre have a lot on his back.
A lot.
We St. Lucians are depending on him and we are putting a lot on him. But I know he cannot do all those things in 5 years. But that is something he should, even though he start it because it hurts. It hurts to see people just taking away the taxpayers' money. Those people are working. People are working hard. There are some people, when they pay taxes and things, the amount they're paying, that could do something for them and their children. And they have to be deprived of it to give it to the country so that the country can do work and to move on. And then somebody just come and take it and do what they want.
Somebody better off than them.
That is wrong. That is wrong. And those things have to be changed. And another thing again, sometimes we blaming the other people, like the permanent secretaries in those what they calling them, the ministries,
yeah.
And they have, I assume, or I suppose that they have laws in each ministry to govern certain, aspect of their work and thing like. And then it's been broken by the ministers, and sometimes it's not the permanent secretary fault because they are employed, and if they say no, although the law is there, and then when the minister wants to break it, and they say, well, no, that cannot be, they will still break it and they'll just fire them and put someone thing there. Those are the laws I want to be revised. I want those laws to be revised, man. If you're wrong, you cannot be right. If there is a law governing that, let me do my work according to the law of the ministry, and do not threaten me or do not take it in your hands and do what you want with the law. Those are the things I want to see.
But caller, the structure of it is such that the permanent secretary carries oversight and is not the minister's department to do with as he or she pleases.
Not at all.
The permanent secretary is who actually runs the ministry, who actually get things off the ground. The minister basically, and you see, perhaps we need to have a discussion redefining the role of government.
Yes.
You see it? We need to have that discussion because, in essence, we elect legislators. We elect
because when it comes to the quinchain and those things,
the permanent secretaries are guided as to how they should act. And what you find in some cases, you find permanent secretaries sucking down to politicians. You know what I'm saying? As is a norm in this country, everybody wants to be the boss, best friend. As opposed to sticking to the professional calling, as opposed to sticking to the statutes and how it is structured. And so, therefore, in a situation like that, the permanent secretary...
Because I see that when it comes to the quinchain and things like that, everybody just giving away everything. Each politician that come in and elected, they are giving this, they are giving that. You know, although it is wrong, although, you know, it will affect the native that put them there, that vote them in. And we the natives don't have no say about those things afterwards. Even though we talk, they're just disregarding our talk. If we demonstrate for it, they're disregarding our demonstration, and you know, and all those things are wrong. And if you have a ministry and you have a law that saying the quinchain should not be touched, it's supposed to be free, less a free zone, so to speak.
Caller?
You know?
Caller,
so it's supposed to be that way, and no matter which government or minister that come in, that's not supposed to change that.
Caller, you can be certain that this government will commit itself to adhering to the laws as they exist. You can be certain, so you can rest assured. Tonight you could go to sleep knowing that this thing is something of the past.
And one thing I want the government that is appointed there, I want them to, when they hear, I want them to listen, because sometimes you can hear and don't listen. I want them to hear and listen. It is very important. Hear and listen so that you can.
Caller, we have a call.
Even the dull and the ignorant have their story. You can learn from each and everybody. They don't have the respect of a person, because sometimes a person you will look down on. That person can have a better idea than one that have the PhD.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Thank you, caller.
Okay, have a blessed night.
Nice. Yeah, we'll be taking a break now.
My name is Martina. I would like to say thank you to the guys from Paddy Access, especially Jermaine, for a job well done. I called him 2 days before my brother's funeral to do a live video, and I was not disappointed. He was professional and kept in touch with me throughout the live, just making sure I was satisfied with everything. I would definitely use Paddy Access again, and I highly recommend that anyone looking to do a live video to hire them. Everyone who watched my brother's funeral had good things to say about how much of a good job the videographer did. If you want satisfaction for your money, Paddy Access is the way to go.
Why are you suffering from aches, pains and illnesses? When there's help for you. At Health Service Center, we offer a wide range of treatment that has been scientifically proven to help you with your aches, pains and illnesses. Our ICT machine is one of the most effective devices in the health field. It has shown positive results in many health problems, such as back pains, shoulder pains, migraine headaches, pain in the knees and legs, poor circulation, arthritis, diabetic neuropathy, numbness in the feet, strokes and sports injuries. ICT, repairs, rebuild. The power to heal, the future of pain relief.
St. Lucia, be a living and breathing example of the benefits of getting the COVID-19 shot. Focus on the big picture positives. Widespread vaccination is a critical tool to help stop the pandemic. COVID-19 vaccines are safe, effective and free, so we recommend you get the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as possible. The chances of being hospitalized or dying with COVID-19 is reduced greatly with the vaccine. By doing so, you are protecting yourself and the people around you. As more people become vaccinated, schools, businesses, and our social lives can continue freely. Let us all play our part in getting back to normal. Vaccine hesitancy can cost us dearly. Do the right thing. Take the vaccine.
It is well known that diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, and other illnesses may restrict blood flow, which can lead to impotence and erectile dysfunction. This is why Enhance was formulated to meet these challenging health problems, which can reduce your ability to perform. If you're having problems maintaining your manhood, then reclaim your manhood today with Enhance. Enhance increases your energy level, boosts your stamina, and increases your endurance.
Enhance can be purchased at Citygate Bar, the CDC opposite the market, Dexter's Car Wash on Chaussee Road, Plants Place on the Dennery Highway, Arlette Supermarket in Soufriere, the Release Stress Bar on the Labrie Highway, and Cool Joint Bar in Victoria, Choiseul.
You can get your Enhance at Pryor's Bus Stop 22, next to the Moshi Bus Stop, opposite the Gurzile Bus Stop. Pryor's Bar and Grill in Corinth, Gurzile.
Enhance, the best a man can get.
Yeah, we're back. Let me just take time off to say happy birthday, happy 90th birthday, that is, to Miss Mayen. There at the top of Level.
Oh, really? Wow.
Faisal, Betty, your mom, yeah. Miss Mayen, 90 years old today, and in.
Happy birthday,
it's an auspicious day. I got sworn in today, and the Castro City Council entire management body got sworn in today, and so me, Miss Mayen, we sharing that day, 90 years old. For God said, with long life,
yes,
shall I bless thee, and indeed you are blessed.
Yes.
Shamin, as okay, let me have a call. Let's take in this call.
Today. Good night.
Good night.
Good night, caller. Turn down your.
Yeah, good night. Let me just say good night to the principal and headmaster at home, and to you two teachers.
Well, please.
I state it as a school because I've been listening to you all, and it is very noticeable that our principal got his secretary and he's got a counselor running this program. Very interesting. And by that I want to send a message to the principal that you've been responsible for the councils. I would love to see in your organization that a retreat goes for every council in the country. I call on a retreat, and that all of us, because I am one that is going to be, that has indicated my intention to serve on one of those councils. And what I would like to see is that all of us in this country, as whether it's in the city or in the village or in the town, that all of us think alike. Mm-hmm. All of us should have a handbook directing us. Whether it is constitution-wise, we must understand the Constitution so that we can better serve our country. And I use the word serve. We are not here, and we will not be here, and the St. Lucia Labour Party is not going to be here to control St. Lucia or to dictate to St. Lucia. We must come in there to serve. And my dear madam spoke about the ministers being on social media. What I believe is that her job and the jobs of the other secretaries in the constituency should be the secretariat to the minister or the representative.
Well, I actually meant setting up. I didn't mean them in person, eh?
Yeah?
I didn't mean them in person, actually, the minister actually managing and running.
Well, we may be on the same path. I think us, we who are committed to our party, committed to our country, should be that secretariat to our ministers. Because the ministers and representatives have a lot of work to do, and I would not like them to get caught up and go into the frontier of the social media.
Well, then I would rephrase that.
We can be carried away like the last administration. Although the prime minister has no mind to have done that. I think we have done a better job on social media than them, even if they are all about castigating. But leaving that alone, I just want, as I'm on the very same note, I listened to Brother Jeremiah last night in conversation with a young interviewer. That I want to encourage our representatives to do.
To engage in, yes.
That we can have a better view of how they think, and they can have a better view of how we think. Yes. And I do not want to be too long, but all to say, congratulations to you, my brother, for being on the Castle City Council. I want to wish all the members of the City Council well. I know that you have got a formidable leader. We have got a formidable minister also. And all I want to say today is that you have started the education, and let this be our university. It started off, and let it continue. I like the path that you have taken, and I want to encourage our brothers who have voted for the St. Lucia Labour Party. I will always call on our brothers who supported the Labour Party, who voted the Labour Party. The United Workers' Party backtrackers who have voted for the St. Lucia Labour Party. I want to ask them, for the first year, at least the 100 days, we give our party our 100 days. But for the first year, I would like us to try to educate ourselves into what we, the St. Lucia Labour Party, has come to save St. Lucia, not to bring down anybody, but if anybody is at fault, I want to say this, if anybody is at fault, and there's any legal means or any other means of having them paid for helping destroying our country, they must pay. They must pay. And we should have no sympathy, because right is right and wrong is wrong. I want to leave that tonight to say, everybody, follow the protocol. We've got to save our country. Our enemy is COVID. And as the numbers are going up, and it's only we alone that can take that job. Not the ministers, not the CMO. It is all of us, St. Lucia, and I beg all St. Lucians at home and abroad to encourage us to do what is best to save our little country. Follow the protocols, wear your mask, keep the distance, and let's save our country. Well, we have started on a very good path. I say we because I'm part of the class, and all of us who are part of the class, I have to continue to assist in bringing St. Lucia forward. We can become the #1 again, and the best in the world. Have a
commitment, we will become number one. Strength received, strength given, caller. Yes, let me just shout out Chavez Fowell. I'm telling you, I've settled Chavez. I've settled it now, so no longer. You know what I'm telling you? I'm no longer your prisoner. Okay. Oh, yeah, Shamin.
Yeah, while you shouting out, before I get my head cut, I have a few people I want to shout out. Kaji, Princess from the CDC, Deborah from the CDC. I also want to shout out Mandy from Roseville. I know you're watching.
Yeah.
Master Wong. From Mondido, I know you're watching. As I get more familiar with my class, of course, we will bond. But I just want to say to you guys, thanks for the encouragement, thanks for your confidence in me. And like the caller just said, and like my colleague and I have discussed, this is new to us, but the conviction that we have to serve and the willingness to make things right, the equality that we want to see.
Hold on, we have a call. Caller, good night, caller.
Hello?
Hello, caller.
Good evening, caller.
Oh, okay, yeah. Good night. How you doing?
Not bad at all.
Okay. There's a question I really want to ask.
Go ahead.
There are about 21 of us who are get little jobs from the Sarah flood. But we swing and we vote for
caller, turn down turn down your set, TV or radio.
It is turned down. Turn down that. Yeah, it's off. Yeah. You hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, there's about 21 of us that get little jobs. They work from the Sarah flood. And since we swing and we vote for our rep, Central Castries, that's Richard Frederick. All right? And we haven't get that payment. It is possible that we can get that payment under this government. This is what we're asking, because we have to send our children to school. We have things to do for our family. We have that little money was waiting for it, you know, and we cannot get it up to now. All right? We have gone infrastructure. We get no kind of recompense. Nobody tell us nothing. We say, some of them say that, all right, we go up there, we can't get this money, or that money have to go to cabinet, all right, and so on and so forth. But we're waiting for that little money and we can't get it. So I'm asking the question, and I'm speaking on behalf of all the brothers and them that in the ghetto do that little job there, and we're waiting for that little money for us to do our little movements, and we cannot get that money. That's bad, because we make sure that we change and we vote for our rep, Richard Frederick, and that's our aim, and we asking about that money. Is we can get that money as a government change. That's what we're asking, and we depending on that little change up to this day, you know, and that's bad, you know, because in the next time, what we're going to do as ghetto, all right, poor people in the ghetto and things. So what we're going to do when we do that little job already, and you see that we finish that job and we cannot get that money. You understand what I'm saying?
Caller.
So I want to know how we're going to get that money, because if a man work, he must get paid. Doesn't matter what government that day, we ought to get paid.
Caller, I cannot give you a definite answer on that now. So definitely next week I will have after consulting with the relevant authorities, I will have an answer in place for you. But what I could say to you, hold on.
For cutting you short, some of the brethren talk to the rep about it, and he say, well, he'll have to talk to Stevenson King about it, you know. Because now we ain't get no results, and we just waiting for that little money.
Because what I could say to you is, on the eve of election, that is to say, the weeks and the week before or the week within the election, days before, these guys, the incumbents, Sarah Flood, the Guy Josephs, the Dominic Fedes, and the rest were all over the place, offering jobs in the hope that they would have been elected. It wasn't necessarily that they have made.
We're talking about we on behalf of Central Castries. Then we're talking about our behalf of Central Castries.
Yes.
We're talking about the rest.
Caller.
But you know where we put our vote.
Go ahead. I want to just bring a little bit of clarity to what the caller is saying and to guide him. Of course, anybody would share those sentiments if they've worked and they've not been paid. However, walking the ground during the prelude to the election with the rep, a lot of complaints were brought to him in the days leading to the election, because at that point they realized a lot of things had transpired, and so the momentum was building, and so people, they realized that, hey, this thing is possibly not going to work. And so they told a lot of those people that they'd contracted to do those quick jobs that they would pay them after election in the hope of winning.
This is why I said,
and so they were not, some of these contracts were verbal contracts and what have you. And you know that our rep is one who goes by the book. And so one of his questions posed to some of these workers were, is there any paperwork? Some had. But I can tell you that some of them said, she said the paperwork was at infrastructure. And if the incoming government has to do some sort of investigation at first, before they can actually get that money for you. So if the rep has made a commitment to look into it, I am assured that he will, and he will.
But that is what I'm telling. I'm telling the caller that you could guarantee that the rep will look into it, and notwithstanding if it could be resolved, it will be resolved.
That is what he said.
But also, I am saying to you that those guys went along the same. You can't. Yes, caller. Like I was telling you, those guys went along ad hocism, just do anything, do in the attempt that it would seem like they're doing something, and then they would get the vote. So. Yes, so then as soon as it's possible, not as soon as it's possible, the rep will clarify, and there is under no circumstances would the rep be in a position to settle a matter and not deal with it. But it may not be this government at all. Exactly. It might not be due process. It might not even be the structure. It might simply be a politician taking people for granted again.
On the eve of an election.
But mind you, this government will not leave persons who've worked unpaid. And I think the teacher is trying to get in touch to clarify or to clarify
this matter. And so I
so no sooner he gets through the line, caller, you will have it addressed as per the rep. And you see, Charmaine, this I mean persons work say elections day. And persons are told that they cannot get what they signed up for what they were promised because you lost.
Yeah. And this is
the rep is on the line. Teacher.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
I was listening to this caller earlier. I really don't like people making excuses. We know where we vote. I hate hearing that kind of stuff, because if you are politicizing your entitlement, you should go and ask Sarah for your money.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know where you vote. That's one. We the ghetto youths. Anybody who works has to get paid, ghetto youths or not.
Exactly.
So I just hate to a nonsense like that to try and work on people's consciences. We the ghetto youth. Ghetto youth like food. Everybody. I have a lot of ghetto people that support me, but that should not be an excuse. Everybody who works must get paid.
So in essence, whether he ghetto or not, as long as they don't claim,
I like my ghetto boys. I assist them anytime, but don't use it as an excuse for expeditious payment. The other one, I know where we vote. As though Sarah got no votes at all. Sarah got 0 votes. So everybody now vote for Richard Frederick. I mean, you all work, you all have to get paid. The difficulty here, Tim, is this. Sarah, in her quest to appease the electorate, what she did was she gave contracts left, right, and center unwritten. Unwritten. So those contracts have no means of verification.
He told them so.
Now I'm not Minister of Infrastructure. He's saying I don't know who that caller is. Only one person called me about that. And I told the person what I do know is Sarah herself had presented herself to Stevenson King at Infrastructure. I was not the district rep. I am not Minister of Infrastructure. What can I do about a situation where persons went to do work with unwritten arrangements, cannot be verified, cannot be quantified? That is a recipe for even more corruption.
That shows you
abuse, extortion.
Because a lot of people will just come from under the woodwork and say, I work too. You understand what I'm saying? However, if one presents me with a document, I don't even care where they come from, whether it's ghetto or not. Because that thing about work playing on people's consciences have to stop. My ghetto people support me, and I support them, I love them. I will take care of them within the realms of legality.
Yes.
How on earth I am pulling up so many people for the corrupt practices, and you are asking me to get government money for you where there is no written contract, 2, I wasn't privy to it at all, 3, I'm not the minister, 4, I wasn't the district rep and wasn't the one who give you the work. How can you say you vote for me and then I have to get money? How am I doing this? Within proper accounting and transparent governance. Because it will start with 2 people. Boy, you know what? The boss get my money for me, as they would say. And then you have 40 people confronting you about something that you know nothing about. And those guys need to understand that if you work, whether you are maid, whether you are bus driver, whether you are garbage collector, whether you're from the ghetto, whether you're from Cap Estate, if you work and you render your services to government, you must get paid. But that speaks to those guys who are so desperate that they don't await proper procedure on the eve of an election. Let me tell you, this was 2 days before the elections, you know. 2 days before the election, and Wayne Girard read a document in the House, and you see those guys don't follow those things. If they followed it, they would have heard Wayne Girard saying Sarah Flood was asked not to do that. If they were following Wayne, and I urge them to go back and listen to what Wayne Girard said. Wayne Girard said he has correspondence where the district rep at the time was urged not to do that. Even from my constituency allocations, all of you know how I operated. We had our own little contract in the office. It was signed. We either gave you a deposit. We did it properly. Right now, everybody is coming from under the woodwork. I have my children to feed. Because I vote for you or I don't vote for you, go and get government's money for me. Proper accounting procedures can never ever be realized when you do things like that. You know, and they should not talk about voting. Because if you work, no matter where you're from, no matter who you voted for, you are entitled to remuneration for your work. But you must ensure that it was done in a proper fashion. You know, so that thing about, oh, we voted Wheaton, like he speaks for everybody. He speaks for everybody. So Sarah Flood got 0 votes. Sarah Flood got 0 votes. When you all were there, Tim, that day we were in New Village, when 2 of Sarah people got paid on that day when we had that meeting. You all remember? And they were coming, Sarah again, Sarah again. And the guys that was 2 nights before the elections. They got paid the same day. And they were saying they got paid, so they're making noise for Sarah.
Our money.
You remember that? So how can one man speak for everybody and saying, we vote for Richard Frederick, we are ghetto youths, we have children to feed? People must realize that they cannot play on people's emotions, you know, unjustifiably. Why am I being drawn into this? I don't even know. I should not be drawn into this. No, I gave no one work. I said no one to verify work. I was not the district rep. I had no authority to give work. And if I was given work, a written document would have been signed. You know, so those people must know what they're doing and know how they play on emotions.
That's what
that's exactly what they have to do now is to pursue Sarah. It has to take the benevolence, not only of Stevenson King, who's there now, because Stevenson King cannot even pay.
Verify, there's no...
He cannot pay. The government cabinet might have to agree that those... How do you verify who work now? How do you do that? You just call people from the street? You call people from the streets to say, that one work, that one work, that. What work did they do? What work did they do? Who confirmed the work was done? You know, we must stop subjecting ourselves to things like that, play on people's emotions, and believe that there will be a special dispensation for us. Governance must be transparent, governance must be accountable, and governance must be done in a manner where one can verify a story that is being made or being given.
There must be a trail.
There must be a trail.
Of course there must. See, you might just say, oh, I cut the grass at Bondido.
Yeah.
The grass grow back already. It has grown back. She tell me she would give me $2,000. Look, I heard Sweetie, one of the boys from Conway, saying that he cut grass in the Conway area for $2,000. The man renter we need to pay him $100. But Sweetie has absolutely nothing to show. You know, how was the work verified? Who gave you the work? At what cost was it given? And then all of a sudden, one gets paid, and then it opens the floodgates because there is no means by which verification can be made. So those people need to be careful what they say, and do not draw politicians unnecessarily into a situation of which they were not privy and which defies accountability, transparency, and has the ability to introduce corruption right through that kind of exercise. Because if 10 fellas work and you start to pay, you'll see about 100.
Definitely you'll find 50. You'll find 50.
Okay.
And testimony to that is the sort of abuse. And now that you're there, with regards to the commitment of the government to help persons with school supplies. Richard, that program, that initiative, persons, and I mean, St. Lucians, please. I mean, when you present a bill, an open bill for $1,000 with regards, and what's that? Shoes. Come on, we need to do better than that. You know, I mean, the government extend the hand, and we should be considerate, and even those receiving it must receive.
These persons have to be reasonable.
Reasonable.
You know, even in what they say.
Yes.
Because that caller, and he was so unreasonable, drawing me into it, talking about voting. What does voting have to do to your right to fair compensation for work done?
Because, like you say, the psychological, the emotional, psychological thing, the idea was, I vote for you.
And ghetto youth.
It's like
it's like nobody voted for Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah got 1,000 for nobody voted for her.
Yeah.
Nobody at all. Anyhow, just take care. Good night.
Yeah, my brother. Yes, I mean, I was talking about that program with regards to helping parents.
Yes,
I mean,
and he's totally right. When you can call the show and you can you say it with conviction that is like you vote. It's like we still, some of us still join into this political prostitution sort of thing, where they don't even understand. The rep was not the person in authority at the time. He did not give you a directive to go and do any sort of work. If you've been following the events of the last couple days after the election, you would have noticed that the rep himself have been advocating certain things, and so you would think that people would weigh those things. You know, how can the rep be responsible for your money that Sarah paid some people and she didn't pay some because of the haphazard way in which it was done, the blatant malfeasance or maladministration of the government purse. And for me, like boss said earlier, this was a prophetic election. This was divine intervention. Because if I can even think of maybe another year of that, or even 6 months during this sort of pandemic, and that sort of blatant corruption, blatant family dictatorship, where it's FFF, St. Lucia would have had a really, really hard fall. And
no, but I mean, coming to think about it, I mean, what was Sarah herself thinking?
So why don't they go by the church on a Sunday? She has just surfaced. All of a sudden, she's no longer, everybody else is gone. She's chosen to stay. Hold
on a second, Shamin, we have a call. Caller, good evening. You're the last caller. Good evening.
Hello?
Yes, good evening, sir.
Yeah, good night.
Good night, my brother.
On that Sarah thing,
I didn't get that?
On the Sarah.
Sarah is a Catholic, right? Sarah is a strong Catholic. Let us go. Last year, Good Friday, Easter Sunday, Palm Sunday, Divine Mercy Sunday. All that time, the Catholic Church was closed. She haven't said a word to her Prime Minister, but now she wants to make a noise because one day the church closed. She went to come to church at 6 o'clock in the morning, and by 7 o'clock she home already.
Color, the intention is to see if you could get enough church goers to identify with you to create a ruckus.
A ruckus.
You know what I mean? And for that, I mean, Sarah should be ashamed of herself. The intention of that broadcast was to get as much...
sway the Catholics, as many Catholics as possible.
Catholics as possible to find a problem with the government's adjustment of the protocol.
Now she's so dumb. Trinidad Church has closed for 4 months now. The Pope's secretary in the Caribbean is living in Trinidad. They haven't said a word. And she want the bishop to say something. When by 7:40 she home already. Anyway, my brother, congratulations and have a good night, both of you.
Yes, my brother, thanks so much.
Yeah, and you just see right through all of the rhetoric and all of the the crap that we accept, you know, from the people who are supposed to be representing us and serving us.
But it's not just that, Trish. I mean, there's something I always, you see, is how much of the corrupt practices of politicians that the constituent force them into facility. You know what I'm telling you? And that too is something I keep telling guys, men stand on their feet. Men don't survive out of somebody else's pocket. You know what? And there should be a pride in yourself to not have to your comfort and your satisfaction coming out of somebody else's pocket. You know what I'm telling you?
Sometimes situations force you to be in a position and you feel you feel that sense of pride, you're overwhelmed by it because you just don't want to have to do that, but because of circumstances you do it. But there are people, like Richard said, who play on emotions and who think that, you know, you ought to do certain things to make things happen in their way.
But all in all good things come to an end. And can I help you, class? We've reached the end of a very informative, very exciting, very, how should I say it? Interactive session. Most definitely, you'll have us again next week, and we'll have you. So, can I help you, Charmaine?
Once again, it's like my colleague said, it was nice having you. We look forward to more interaction, more lively discussion, and keeping you informed in not just the ills that we face, but also in the development and the aspiring things that would come out of this administration with the involvement of not just the people put in place to serve you, but you yourselves, St. Lucia. Good night and thank you.
My name is Martina. I would like to say thank you to the guys from Paddy Access, especially Jermaine,